Good morning, this is Shelby Law with the Great Basin Smoke Dispersion Briefing for Monday, April 26, 2021. Precipitation for the past 30 days is shown here with the observed amounts on the left and the percent of normal on the right. We have had a couple of good storms come through the eastern portions of the Great Basin, but still coming in below average for the time of year. April is normally a pretty wet month for us here in the Great Basin, but we have some very dry spots, especially central and western Idaho and much of Nevada, southwest Utah have all been on the drier side with a little bit better values there over northern, central, and southeast Utah. This morning's satellite imagery is showing a big area of low pressure moving through the western U.S., really digging into the Great Basin today and into tomorrow. This is a nice spring storm for us, going to bring some widespread precipitation, especially to southern Idaho and much of Utah and western Wyoming. Unfortunately, western and southern Nevada are going to miss out on a lot of the precipitation here, but still a good event for eastern portions of the area. Before we move on, I just wanted to show the current fire danger indices for a couple of areas. Southern Nevada here setting records for the time of year. With ERCs, it's been very dry. It's been a dry winter, dry spring, and those ERCs are setting new records for the time of year. And then southeast Utah as well, because we're going to see some strong, dry, gusty winds there today. Just taking a look here, those values are also near the historical maximums for the time of year there in southeast Utah. So taking a look, by this afternoon, that low will kind of really move into centered on northern Nevada here, bringing a very large cold front through most of the Great Basin, dropping temperatures and bringing widespread valley rain and mountain snow, again, to mainly the eastern half of the Great Basin. Ventilation rates are pretty high today as the storm moves through. Looking at the winds here, these transport winds, very windy today in mainly central and eastern Utah, gusts up to 40 to 50 miles an hour. So any fires that do start certainly have the potential to spread today. The cold front won't move into eastern Utah until later this afternoon or evening. Precipitation and cooler temperatures is coming, so whatever starts that do occur will be followed up quickly by cooler temperatures and increasing relative humidity and precipitation. So a short-lived, a short duration event, but definitely high impact if any fires were to start today in these areas. The mixing heights are also very high out ahead of that low. By Tuesday afternoon, the low drops further south into southwest, and we'll see the precipitation really trail off by tomorrow evening, just lingering over eastern Utah. Ventilation rates are still pretty high throughout the day tomorrow. And looking at those winds really die down. The winds that we do see are going to be post-frontal, with cooler temperatures, high relative humidities, and winds out of the north. And mixing heights are still pretty high behind that low. On Wednesday, we'll begin to see this high pressure build off the Southern California coast for drying conditions and warming temperatures as well. And ventilation rates still fairly favorable on Wednesday. Transport winds pick up a bit from the north over the central part of the Great Basin in the southeast, kind of just in that as remain in the northerly flow before the high pressure really starts to move into the Great Basin. So still mild temperatures on Wednesday, but sunny skies returning. Mixing heights are still pretty favorable as well on Wednesday. So the clearing index forecast for Utah for the next 3 days is showing really favorable values statewide today and tomorrow. Wednesday decreasing just a bit across the north, but still pretty high across the central and southern portions of the state. The 3-day precipitation totals are shown here. Really looking for a good widespread precipitation event for most of the Great Basin. Central Idaho mountains miss out, and western and southern Nevada miss out on the precip as well. But elsewhere, even southern Utah could see a pretty good amount. So we'll just be watching over the next today through tomorrow really to see just how much precipitation we'll get out of the sky. On Thursday, the ridge begins to strengthen across the southwest, and we'll continue to see dry conditions with gradual warming area-wide. Ventilation rates are still okay in some areas. On Friday, that ridge continues to dominate across the southwest, and we'll really see temperatures increase across the entire geographic area, but particularly across the southern third of the Great Basin, where temperatures could be peaking up into the 90s in St. George and Las Vegas. Ventilation rates are pretty good for Friday. We do see another little trough beginning to move into the Pacific Northwest, which will make its way in for the weekend. Saturday, unfortunately, we don't have those other types of images for the weekend, but by Saturday we can see some cooler air continue to move into the Pacific Northwest, may increase some wind speeds across the southern Great Basin, but still warm and dry across the south. Ventilation rates still staying favorable for most of the area. And then on Sunday we'll see that little trough make its way from the Pacific Northwest into the northern portions of the Great Basin. Should expect to see an increase in some winds across the south, still warm and dry across the southern Great Basin. And so we'll be looking for the first part of this week. Today and tomorrow, of course, fire danger is decreasing significantly after that wind in eastern Utah. And then we'll see the warm and dry return. And then by next weekend, possibly another increase in wind for the weekend. So we'll be watching fire danger as we get into the Saturday-Sunday time frame out ahead of this next little low pressure system. Precipitation accumulations for days 4 and 5. This is Thursday through Saturday. Not looking for any precip coming in that time frame. Maybe later in the weekend we may see some fill into the Idaho area, but we'll have to watch and see what that next little low does. The extended forecast for May 3rd through the 9th, calling for near normal temperatures across the Great Basin and below normal chances for precipitation, especially in Nevada and western Utah. And this concludes today's smoke dispersion briefing. Please check back on Wednesday for the latest updates.